Hello guys, we are back with the F1 Esports videos, I should say. This being round one in Australia. So we've just finished the championship, 2025 championship, and now we are going to be reviewing every single race from my perspective, my POV, see what I was thinking, what was happening from my races, and just kind of try to show you guys what really happens for us as drivers in these races, because obviously you guys as viewers see only what you really see, and I'm sure there's many behind the scenes little details that they miss out on, and I guess they're interesting, at least for for me, and I'm guessing for you guys too if you're watching this. So yeah, I'm more than happy to go through the season again, and watching it back with you guys is always also a good way for myself to just kind of see what really happened, and just analyze what could have gone differently, how I could have done better. But yeah, so let's just enjoy it, guys. We're going to be now focusing in Australia, as we're now jumping into our first Q1 of the season. It's always very, very hard, the first qualifying of the season. There's so much pressure, so many nerves, because you don't really know what to expect from the others. Everyone's just hiding their cards a lot, and you don't really know where you stand in terms of pace. So this is where you find out basically if you've done a good prep, or if your preparation has gone well, or if there's still something that you need to find and work on. So yeah, we go into the first lap now. The sector one looked very, very clean. No mistakes there. Maybe turn one was a little bit safe, but it's very easy to invalidate, so didn't want to take many chances. Same goes for sector 2, which we get a really good exit on, actually. And we're going to be using the ERS pretty much all the way down the straight. I'm not going to hide the ERSs. I know some people hide the ERSs now, but there was literally nothing that I feel like I could hide, because there wasn't really anything worth much, at least in these scenarios. If I feel like I have to hide something, then I eventually will in the future. But the season is over, the game is done. Hopefully the next game will be much different, and this won't even really matter much anymore. But yeah, I'm sure everyone studied the ERSs and everything to the latest, or to the last little detail. So yeah, it's not a big deal. Anyways, we finish our lap in Q1 with a 14.78, which was actually very, very good time for a Q1 lap, which I was very happy with it. First lap on the board, and I think I'm going to retire if I remember correctly. So yeah, it's been a while since these races, so I might forget some stuff, because event 1 was many months ago now. But yeah, I remember correctly. I did retire at the beginning of the session, because I knew I was through. Barry in P14 making it through as well. So first obstacle out of the way. We just wanted to make sure that we can get both cars in the top 10. Obviously, very important for a championship like this to be consistent. So full focus on quali, as we are now P3 after I think it was a used tire lap, which not bad, putting myself in P3 as we start my first fresh set of softs. But in turn 1, as I said earlier, it's just so easy to invalidate, which yeah, that really cost me a lot of confidence, because my lap was enough for P1 at that point. I would have been P1. I felt really fast, I felt confident, so it wasn't the end of the world. I knew I could do it if I just put a good lap together. So full focus on this lap here, approaching turn 1, not really using much ERS here, because we want to keep it for at the exit. We get a good turn 1 as we are matching now the delta, not really losing much time. And then very tricky sector 1 here to nail the exit here. Very easy to snap the car using this curb, a little bit for rotation, and now just got to keep the tightest line to the next corner, as sector 2 extremely easy to invalidate. If you hit the bump bad, or if you scrape the car too much, you will go wide. 0.7 first sector. It's okay, it's fast and more than enough to go through. If I do finish the good lap, this sector 2 has been fast as well, so that should be like a 0.2 split if I remember, or 1.7 even better. So we're on for a really good lap here. But as you can see, I made a huge mistake in that left and right. I mean, it was a mistake because I just didn't cut the left enough, and that meant I hit a bump, the car went straight. I had a bad angle for the right-hander, and I hit a bump there again, the car went straight, and I just had to lift and downshift, and I lost at least 3 tenths, 2.5 tenths minimum for sure. and that just means that unfortunately we will be out in Q2 um, with a 0.86. Yeah, it was never going to be enough. I was very disappointed because I lost so much time. I could have been easily through. Thankfully, Barry made it in P5 there. So, yeah, not the start of the season that I would have wanted. But it's still the start. There was plenty more races to go. It wasn't the end of the world. I knew our pace in the race was going to be fast, and strategy will be very important and very different for many people in this game. So this is the standings of the quali. Barry getting himself in P4 and Isma getting the first pole position of the year with Freddy right behind him. As we know, Freddy very fast. So let's go into the race now. We will be choosing the hard compound tires. And I think most people are on the hards, actually, if I remember correctly. The medium hard strategy was a good one, considering how fast it was compared to the hard medium, but it was just a bit riskier because if you get caught early on, the medium tire at the end, it was just so much quicker and pretty easy to pass. So I decided to start on the hards. Brendan does get past me at the beginning, but that's because he is on the medium tire, so he does have more grip. So I wasn't surprised there. I'm just gonna make sure I keep my front wing clean, because if I just damage my front wing a little bit in a track like this, it's just gonna be very hard to do anything later on. So full caution in the first lap, as Brendan looking very racy because rightfully so, because he's on the mediums. He needs to make up ground, or as much ground as he can at the beginning, to maximize the strategy. So he will be pitting earlier than us, so we're going to get rid of him at some point or another, so there is no rush to overtake him yet. We're just going to be saving our tires, saving our ERS, which is actually really easy to save in this game anyway, so not a big problem there. As Brendan goes down the inside of Lucas, going side by side here is always not so nice. It's a very tight section of the track, but I don't think Lucas will fight it too much, as he doesn't. Lets him through. He's probably having the same train of thought as me. No need to fight him yet, and he will just get rid of our way at some point or another. So I don't think much will happen from now on, purely because of how the train works in the first stint. Maybe in lap 2 here I do make a mistake, which I go a little bit wide, kind of like qualifying, and I didn't want to get a warning, so I lifted a lot, and that gave Alfie the chance to pass me around the outside. I mean, maybe try to keep it down the inside, but no, he just fully sends it into the corner and takes the position from me. It's not the end of the world again, but like, it was just a pointless, useless, such a small mistake that just cost me a position. And you never know what a position can do. Those few tenths of a second in the race time can be huge when doing an undercut or an overcut and needing that little bit of space and gap to the car ahead. Yeah, it can be crucial. But is now Joni Tormola is falling through the field. I believe he has a little bit of wing damage. I touch Alfie a little bit on the back, but I know that I didn't have any damage. Declan does a really good move on Alvaro, actually, around the outside and passes him. But now we need to focus on Joni, because I believe he's on the older mediums, or mediums in general, but they're just a bit slower than the hard already, I believe, or very similar pace. But Joni does have wing damage, if I remember correctly, so he will be slowing down, and we don't want to get stuck behind them and potentially lose the DRS. So we're going to make sure that we get a good exit out of this sector 2 right-hander, and if we do, we should be able to get past him, no problem. As you can see, he just has no downforce. He cannot keep up with Alfie in front of him. If it takes all the battery for me to pass him, then it will take the whole battery. It's just too important. Yeah, as you can see on the right there, he doesn't have a front wing M plate on the right-hand side. Oh, sorry, on his left-hand side. So he will be struggling for the rest of the race, or pretty much out of the race contention. But yeah, as we skip on to lap 8 now, nothing happened at all in the front. But now this is where it gets spicy. The first car is into the pits, and I believe that is Danny Bersney, if I remember. So he's going early. Lap 8 is extremely early, but we did kind of expect that there would be a chance that this could happen. So Danny did take that chance, and now lap 9, you can see many cars respond to Danny's lap before pitting. So that'll be a few positions for us. I think 7 or 8 people pitted. So a 1-lap undercut is huge for Danny, because I'm pretty sure he overtook everyone. Danny's now leading the race. I'm not sure where he was in the train before, but yeah, that was a bit stupid in a way to pit right after Danny. In hindsight, of course, it's always easy in hindsight to say these things. Barry was one of those people that pitted with everyone, and looking back at it, it was definitely not the right choice. And as you can see, Istvan, on the other hand, he went all the way to lap 12 on the same tire. So he went 4 extra laps to Danny. Yes, that means Istvan will be undercut, but now Istvan is at the back of the train anyway, but with way fresher tires. As he could probably start getting past people, and now the people in front of us on the hardest are starting to do their pit stops. Jarno was one of the first ones to pit. I thought Jarno would go longer, been in the position that he was, but I think Jarno was just scared that everyone behind would go earlier, and then Jarno would have a hard time getting past those medium runners quick enough to reach the train. So he wanted to be the first one to catch that medium hard train. And if I was him, I would probably done the same thing, to be honest. But in the position that I was in, I just wanted to risk. I didn't just want to gain a few places and maybe get a P10 or 9. I wanted more points, and 1 or 2 points is not gonna be satisfactory for myself. So here, me and Alfie decide to go longer, thankfully so. But it was crucial for us to know that we were actually not really losing time to the train behind, purely because of how slow Danny was going with his very early pit stop, and because me and Alfie were just pushing our battery and the tires that we had left, because we had saved so much by then. So we weren't really losing it. As you can see, the gap to Danny is just not really changing much. And in hindsight, I think we do pit this lap at the end of this lap, but in hindsight, I believe we should have kept going. One extra lap for sure, maybe another second extra lap, but at least one more lap. As you can see, this gap is even going up at this point, and me and Alfie decide to pit, which is still fine, but it was just these little details can make a difference at the end, and one extra lap could have been a few more tenths advantage to the cars ahead and maybe make them a bit even easier to pass for us. But nonetheless, this is our position now, as we're gonna come out right behind, I mean obviously right behind the train, but how many cars will be undercutting us? And Lucas for sure, because he did pit the 1 lap earlier, and Declan and Alvaro as well, which were behind. It's okay, I mean I expected to be undercut by most people, but we will have a good pace advantage in our hands now with the new mediums compared to them, as we try to go around the outside of Alfie here, maybe see if there's like a little chance of overtaking him, because realistically this is the only chance I had to overtake Alfie. If we're on the same tire, it's super hard, maybe almost impossible to overtake. So I just took my chance there, as it gets very bunched up here in the chicane, in the penultimate hairpin, purely because of the stacking of the tire strategies. There's people on 1 lap pressure, 1 lap pressure, 1 lap pressure, all in a ladder, and everyone is just stacking up at the end, which is very easy to get wing damage from, as Declan and Navarro go side by side, trying to, I think it's yeah, they're on the same tires, so they're trying to fight for real position. As you can see, Declan is flashing, so that means he's on very low battery. So in my head now, I'm just thinking, okay, Declan is low on battery, I have almost full. It's going to be an easy pass on the straight if I just keep it clean here, let them fight, and then use a good exit out of this right-hander to just pass him. And maybe, who knows, maybe pass someone else as well with it, but I don't think that's going to happen, as now maybe actually we're going to also pass Alfie. Maybe, are we? Yes, we might, because I think maybe Alfie was running a higher wing setup, so he didn't have the same straight line speed, or maybe he just didn't expect me to go for that move. But neither did I, to be honest. But I saw the opportunity and I took it with both hands. So that was a very good move. We get past our direct competitor, Alfie, and we're in a good position. It's lap 19. There's 10 laps to go. And now we're going to get past Tamás, which was going side by side with Alvaro. And we are already P14 in the train. And the people ahead of us are on like 7 or 8 laps older hards. So our pace advantage must be more than a second a lap at this point, from what I can remember. Nothing is really going to stop us from passing them at some point. It's just how many can I pass before the end of the race, because in a few laps time my advantage will shrink much more, and it's going to be way harder to pass, as Fabrizio is one of the first cars to get caught as well. So Fabrizio should be an easy pass. I'm not sure if he has a lot of ERS, to be honest, and I think we're gonna be discovering that on this straight anyway now. Also, regarding my ERS, my onboard like HUD, it's very hard to see even for myself. I'm sorry, guys. We just had to do this in the arena, because then it prevented other teams from just peeking on our screens and getting an advantage by knowing how much energy I had available to me. So everyone kind of did this, or most people did. As we see now, Bari is been down to P12 with very old hards, and thankfully he helps me get past Fabrizio and lets me pass as well. So thank you to Bari there. I think his strategy just didn't work out as good as we thought. I mean, strategy was good. It was just the fact of what I said earlier, pitting just one lap after behind everyone. It was just never going to work. And that was just the wrong decision for the strategy for him. So yeah, it sucks. It sucks to see him so far back on the grid, especially having started P4, I believe. And yeah, it is what it is. Lucas now, I'm just going to follow Lucas. Lucas diving down the inside of Sector 2, giving him a chance to overpass, oh my days, Jesus, to overtake Alvaro on the straight. And who knows, maybe Lucas is low on battery, so I can maybe pass him on the straight as well. But no, we're just going to let Lucas do the hard work for us, as Josh going side by side with him on older hards, which in a few laps time will become competitive enough, I think, to start being able to defend us and keep us behind. But we're not quite there yet. We're going to try and pass him as soon as possible, because this will be the first point paying position, P10, and starting from P15 it's already a good bunch of positions gained. So we're in a good position. Only Lucas is ahead of me with relatively fresh mediums. Well, I think one lap older, than me, but Jarno in front of that is on way older mediums, like 3 laps older. So if we get past Lucas at some point, we may have a chance at fighting for the top 6, top 5. And it was looking very promising, especially now when Lucas again down the inside of that right hand there, giving a really bad exit to himself and Tom. I just have the opportunity just given to me to use all my ERS on this straight. I think Tom will run out of ERS at some point, which he is down on ERS. I just think he has a little bit lower wing, but I had to use my ERS so that Tom would then use his ERS, if you know what I mean. And then he would be on a lower energy and I can just easily pass him, which I do now. I believe I just down the inside. He's actually on the medium tire as well, so he must have fitted with Jarno at the same time. So it's a good move to make if I do end up making it. Side by side into the penultimate corner here, round the outside. I just have a better exit and job done. Into P9. Jarno is the main car that I want to get past, because if I can get past him, I can get past the people at the front way easier. And Freddy on the hards lets Jarno through, obviously, because working together. And Lucas again down the inside of that corner. I don't know why he was making those moves down the inside. They were just not good, pointless, because he would just lose so much time. And in hindsight there, if I wasn't so close to Lucas, I could have probably passed him and Freddy due to their bad exits there, but I just had nowhere else to go. I had Alvaro behind me, super close as well, and if I do lift too much, then I'm in danger from him, as Lucas now dives down the inside onto Freddy, taps him on the exit, and we just get past Freddy, no problem. He's on the old hards, and we're now on to P8, and we still have 5 laps to go. But here we're down to lap 26. I see people bunching up, and I think I'm going to go for a move on Lucas, but I barely touch his wheel, and I make a mistake, and I break my front wing, and I lose a position to Alfie. Yeah, and that was obviously a mistake from my part. I didn't mean to touch Lucas's rear left tire, which made also my car completely unstabilized, and then I just couldn't brake anymore in time, and all I could do was hold this position. I can see now Lucas fighting with Thomas. We're in the last lap. I literally just wanted to take the 2 points that I could have gotten, but after post-race penalties, I received a penalty for that move, which, I mean, it's debatable. It obviously looks like a penalty worth like incident, but when you think about the other penalties that have been handed throughout the year and what's not been handed, the fact that I got a penalty for kind of like I lost a position, I lost a bit of my front wing, and I didn't hinder anyone because everyone kept the same place. It's a bit crazy compared to other penalties that we've seen in the championship. But end of the day, it was a P8 I think it was a P9 or P8 at the end of the race without a penalty. Pretty good recovery in terms of driving and race management, but it just wasn't enough. We do not end in the points, as well as Barry. He was out of the points because of the strategy. I'm not too sure what happened with him during the race, so yeah, it sucks to see that this is the start of our year We are well basically last with no points, and having Barry started P4 and myself having a good chance for a good top 5, top 6 finish, it was very disappointing at the beginning. But it is what it is. Australia was always going to be a bit tricky with qualifying, and we now got to just focus on the next track, which should be China. And yeah, boys, you're not ready for China. I mean, I know there was a lot of controversy there, so just gonna leave it there, guys. Thanks for watching for the first video. I'll see you guys soon with the next one, and have a good weekend. Ciao.